I'm going to take roll call for the Prescott Board of Adjustments. I'm here, Jim Lamerson. I'm the chairman. Tony Teeters.
Tony Teeters here.
Tom Davis. Mary Frederickson.
Mary Frederickson's here.
Mark Hoeknes.
Mark Hoeknes here.
Larry Meads.
Here.
James Myers.
James Myers here.
Okay, so we have 6 present with 1 absent. Quorum's 4, so to speak. So from the city, we have Kaylee Nunez. We have no George Worley. Tammy DeWitt. No Joe Young. No Matt Prodaki, so we don't have a legal here.
It should be okay.
All right. This is a open
And then
public
we
hearing.
have Mayor Good.
This is an open public hearing. I'd like to acknowledge that Mayor Phil Good is in the audience. Good morning, Mayor.
Morning, everyone.
Okay. We're being recorded by the city. The proceedings are being televised by representatives of the public media, the public local cable and/or radio stations, and may also be rebroadcast. The number of members that are present are 6. It will require 4 votes for a majority. As some individuals, well, there's nobody attending by Zoom, is there? Okay, so I'm not going to read that. Please,
The applicant is here
okay.
for, okay.
Okay. Please turn off your cell phones or anything else that might interrupt the meeting. And with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman, members of the Commission, Tammy DeWitt, members of the board, Tammy DeWitt, Community Planner, City of Prescott. Let's see. So this is a continuation of an application you heard last month, this conditional use permit for the Circle K expansion on Willow Creek Road. So the reason why it's before you, in a business general zoning district, a service station with the gas pumps requires a conditional use permit. We're not looking at the store itself, we're just mostly looking at the gas canopies. Those are what's bringing it before the Board of Adjustment.
Tammy,
Yes.
would I be able to entertain a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting?
Oh, yes, sure. Yeah.
Please.
Sorry, you said it was up to me.
Did everybody have a chance to read their minutes?
Missed that too.
And who would like to make a motion to either accept or reject the minutes?
I move that we accept the minutes as submitted on the October 20th.
Tony, can you bring your mic closer, please?
I move that we accept the minutes as written on the October 20th meeting.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
So the motion passes 6-0. Okay, now you're back on 10.
Okay. We're having fun this morning, aren't we?
Yeah, it was cold.
It's cool. Okay. Okay, again, so in the business general zoning district for a service station for the gas pumps, we're looking at the conditional use permit to look at if there's any additional criteria to try to alleviate any concerns from the neighbors. So we do have, this is along Willow Creek Road. Willow Creek Road is a commercial corridor within the city of Prescott, and it's one of our busiest roads in the city of Prescott in regards to traffic counts. We do have residential, developed residential houses behind the property. And this kind of shows, this is the existing Circle K facility, and this is the area where it will be expanding to, the adjacent lot. And then to the north here, we have a newer Culver's restaurant, and then we have the apartments here. And these are most of the newer developments that have been built over the last few years. So since your meeting, we did talk with the applicants in regards to landscaping and what they can do to try to mitigate the noise. So they submitted this site plan to try to clean up the site plan because the other one was very hard to read. And this one shows what the landscaping's proposed for it. So these trees here are all existing trees in the green. And then these ones with the lines are new trees that will be planted. to help create that buffer behind here. But we do have a lot of mature trees behind this property along the back, and so we did work with the applicant, and they've agreed to keep those as much as they can. We do have a drainage easement back here that has to be maintained, and it goes all the way through here to this portion of the property between the Culver's Restaurant and where the new access is going to go off of Willow Creek Road. So this kind of shows, this is the drainage where it comes by, and here's the Culver's Restaurant. And then here's the area where it'll be expanding. As you can see, there's lots of big trees back here, and they're going to maintain those as much as possible, all these trees along the back, to maintain that buffer. And we're hoping that it'll help. The complaint from the neighbors at the last meeting was the construction, the possibility of the construction noise. Construction's construction. We really can't do anything about that. They asked that a sound barrier be put up or something, and that's something that we can't require because they're asking for a 30-foot wall, which exceeds our code requirements, and our code doesn't allow for that. So, and we can't restrict the hours of construction because that's through a different code, and so they're going to work and try to get as fast as they can it built, but they're going to demo the existing one, and those trees will remain, hopefully will act as a buffer between the residents and what noise is going to happen through that. And here's another picture of the trees that will remain existing. And there is a fence along here too. And here's the existing facility. So the impacts to this business are going to be about the same as the existing. They are going to have a larger gas canopy and such. This could be pretty typical for the newer Circle K facilities you see being built in Prescott Valley and here in the city of Prescott. So it's consistent with the general plan. This is a commercial corridors where we want to see the commercial businesses go. And this will be a great asset for that along that corridor. So staff recommends approval of the conditional use permit for the service station gas as proposed location and as shown on the site plan. So that concludes my presentation. The applicant is also on Zoom, and we can answer any other additional questions that you have.
Thank you, Tammy. Commissioners, do you have any questions or inquiries of the?
Mr. Chairman, this is Larry Meads, and I just wanted to get caught up with the applicant's response about the concern with the wall, the retaining wall in the back of the property, and which is probably what's going to mitigate the noise from the business.
The neighbors were asking for a noise wall, which are usually 20 to 30 feet high, and that's something our code does not allow for.
Understood,
So
understood.
we-
Between what's there now and between that, I wonder if the applicant has some information for us.
Jill, do you have anything to add to that?
I think you were inquiring, good morning, this is Jill Kaiser, the applicant. I represent Circle K. I think what you're inquiring about is retaining. So currently there is a retaining wall behind the building. The new building, the rear of the building, the rear wall of the building will act as a retaining wall. So it'll be a reinforced wall. So as Tammy mentioned in the previous meeting, the rear of the building itself also acts as a sound barrier because it is a reinforced wall, if you will. Then behind that is the existing wash drainage easement that needs to remain. And then behind that would be the trees that exist and then the existing wall behind that. And so those will all remain in place. Does that answer your question, sir?
Well, that's your response, yes, sure.
So if you see the site plan on the screen, so we have the proposed store here that's going to act as a buffer from the gas canopy, because the gas canopies is really what we're looking at with the use
Sure.
permit. So if you see the site plan, the new one that was submitted, that store is going to act as a buffer along with the existing trees to mitigate any impacts those may have on those residences behind it.
I'm wondering if, and when I looked at the site, I noticed there's some parts of that wall that are in disrepair. I wonder if those will be repaired during this construction.
You mean the fence?
Yes, that back wall that's existing, the CMU block wall. Can the applicant respond to that?
Yes, if the code requires, Tammy, correct me if I'm wrong, the code requires a 6-foot wall between residential and commercial. So should the existing wall need repair during construction, that would be something that code would require us to do.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you.
Did you get your,
That satisfies my curiosity, and I don't see anyone else here regarding the issue with noise and the wall.
all right, thank you, Larry. Anybody else have any questions?
Jim Myers here. What is the maximum allowable height on that wall? Is the 6 foot the max?
For commercial, along commercial, it's 8 feet would be allowed, but 6 foot's the typical. But like we said at the last meeting, the residences are a lot higher up than this site is. So even with the 8-foot wall, they're still going to see it. So they're going to do what they can to try, but the trees are going to be the main
Right.
buffer between that for the visual.
Thank you. Yes,
Mary Frederickson. Tammy, it seems to me, if I recall right, last meeting, there was discussion about maybe modifying the hours of construction. But I thought I just heard you say the code sets those hours.
Those are by the council, so that's not something that this body can
Okay,
deviate from.
just for my own information, what are those hours that are permitted?
I think it was 6 to 8,
Monday through Friday, 7 days a week?
7 days a week.
Thank you.
Thank you for your questions.
Not Sunday. Sorry.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments or questions that haven't been answered? Okay. With that,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
I'd like to make a motion. This is Mark Hopeness. And I move that the board approve CUP 22-001 as presented to the board.
Do I hear a second?
Mary Frederickson, I second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
Mr. Chairman?
Do you believe we have one of the neighboring property owners who just arrived? You may want to ask if she has something to say before you vote. It is up to you, since a motion's been made, you can make that call.
Okay. I have a motion and a second, and we will defer the vote until if somebody from the public wants to comment. We didn't have anybody here.
I'm sorry, there are people on Zoom that are Zooming, so could you please check, because they would like to be heard as well?
Would you like to come up to the podium?
Yes.
State your name and address.
My name is Violeta Ayalon, Ayalon, 3160 Amherst Drive. My property is just behind the expansion of Circle K. And we have lived, unfortunately, through the expansion and the building of Calver's Restaurant and building, and the noise and the horrendous pounding of all the electrical equipment that they were using to break up the bulldozers and all the rocks that are there were just unbearable. So all I'm asking, and every one of you can vote on that the company who is going to be building the expansion should be asked to build a wall that will prevent the noise going to the first row of the houses, as well as equipment that has noise muffling features. And I know that that has not been asked of any other person beforehand, but I don't think that any other person beforehand was living behind the property that was being constructed through bulldozers and equipment that is extremely, extremely noisy, and you cannot really live through it again. So I'm asking the board to be kind enough to require, although it was not required previously, and I say there is always a first time that one needs to take action on behalf of the citizens. And I know for Prescott, this is a money-making proposition. The more property that people buy and expand, that's more money and taxes for the city, but not on the account of the citizens who are also paying taxes. So I'm really asking your heart to be here with you today and vote to require the builder to create a special wall and use tools with noise muffling equipment. Thank you for your consideration, and I hope your heart will vote with you.
Is there anyone on Zoom that want to raise their hand to speak? And no hands are being raised.
All right, thank you very much. So going back to the motion in the second, having been made in the way and having heard from the public, is there any alteration to your motion?
Mr. Chair, Mark Oakness, no, sir.
All right, we've got a motion and a second on the floor. Please indicate by saying aye in favor, nay for opposed.
Aye.
Aye. So I didn't hear any nays, so the motion passes 6-0. Moving on, the second item on the agenda is for variance. V22-006. Tammy?
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. Tammy Duet, Community Planner. The request before you today is a variance to allow for a reduction of the required 25-foot front setback by 10 feet 9 inches to allow for a 14-foot 3-inch front setback for a new should be attached garage on a 0.4-acre parcel. Sorry about that. We did send notices out to all the property owners within 300 feet of the property, which is required, and we posted the property. And we did not receive any questions or comments from any of the neighbors. We did include a copy of the site plan so they saw what was being proposed on the property. Here's the area in question. These little blue boxes on here represent other properties in the neighborhood who have had variances approved. So we do see that there have been other requests in the area for a variance. This is the property in question. They do currently have a detached garage, which they do propose to demo that and to add a attached garage to the property, which would allow them to have covered access from their garage to the house. Due to the house being at a slant like it is, they're wanting to keep the line of the house with the new garage to keep it in line to make it look more uniform. Oops, touchy. So here's the site plan that was proposed. So here we have the existing 2-car garage, and it's only this little tiny little triangle right here that will encroach into the front setback. Otherwise, the rest of the structure will meet the setback requirements and lot coverage and such. So it's just this little corner here in question. Here's the subject property. Here's the existing garage in the house. So it will come out to here. And then around here somewhere is where the property line is. And then here's the other side of the subject property. This was reviewed by all our reviewing agencies. There was no issues or concerns. It's not really a self-induced hardship. They're trying to keep it in line to make it uniform look to the house. It is in compliance with the general plan because there's no changes in the zoning. And there are other houses in the area that have had variances approved, so it's not uncommon for this area to have these type of requests. And that concludes my presentation. I'm free to answer any questions, and the developer is also here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have questions of the developer or Tammy on this variance?
No.
Not hearing any. I would entertain a motion to either approve or reject the motion for variance.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. This is Larry Meads. I make a motion to approve V 22-006. I believe that should have a CUP in front of it, to allow an attached garage within the front setback per the site plan provided.
No, it's a variance. You're good. The V is correct.
Thank you for informing me.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Tony Teeters, I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the variance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The variance is approved 6-0. With that, are there any staff updates that are appropriate at this time?
I'm trying to think, Kaylee, do you remember if we have anything for next month? I don't think we have anything, other variances.
I don't believe so. Neither variances nor
CUPs.
CUPs. So
I think you guys are
we
free
might have
for
the
December.
holiday off.
Well, then I'm going to wish everybody a very, very happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and we'll see you next year.
See you next year.
Is that
All right, thank you. With that, we're adjourned.
Let it slide this time. All right.